John Brennan here, co-founder of MMA Tea Company. I have one of our amateur athletes here, the Blonde Demon, Sydney Ross. Sydney, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Wanted to catch up today, see how things are going, and just see what you're, really doing while we're kind of quarantined and the gyms are all closed down.
My gym actually, my parents own my gym, so thankfully I'm still able to go into the empty building and use the bags and use the equipment and train. I'm very, very lucky for that. I know a lot of people are not doing anything right now or just trying to do whatever they can with what they have at their house, if anything, or just body weight exercises. So right there, I'm totally lucky. Besides having regular practices, my routine's pretty much staying the same.
Gotcha. And you say your parents own the gym. I wanted to get into a little bit with just how you really got into MMA and how you got into fighting. Is it something that your parents kind of got you into, or how did that all come about?
Both of my parents were Marines, so they kind of have to do the combat training in boot camp and throughout their careers as Marines. My dad really, really stuck to it. He actually was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, where he learned judo, which is I guess most people watching this know what judo is. It's throws,
Hmm.
and that's what I started in when I was really young, just because he wanted me and my sister just kind of no self-defense, just something that dads do. They put their kids in some type of martial arts just to be like, oh, if
Hmm.
someone messes with her, she'll be able to hit them. And it just kind of took off from there, and I just really liked it and stuck with it. I went and wrestled in high school, and then I did jujitsu, and then near the end of high school, I picked up boxing. When I was like 17, I had my first boxing fight, and from there, when I was 18, one of the guys at the gym, I always kind of wanted to do MMA. One of the guys at the gym was having his Bellator debut. His name's Ethan, and I
Mm-hmm.
kind of was getting back into it because I had taken a little bit of a break from the boxing and everything. And he was training for his Bellator fight, and I was like, this is really cool. I'm gonna be 18 in a few months. Like, sure, we'll try it. So a couple months after my 18th birthday, I took my first MMA fight, which I won by rear naked choke in the first round. And since then, I was just like hooked.
Yeah, and yeah, we both kind of share that same feeling where, I won my first amateur fight with a stoppage, and it is almost like an instant
Definitely.
feeling of being hooked and like I can't wait to do that again. How quickly then were you, back in the gym and back training and looking to your next fight after that first finish?
Oh my gosh, it was so March, April, May, June. I fought June after I fought three months later, but I was like, let's go, let's do it. I was back in the gym that Monday. I don't do that anymore. I'm not as high strung and hyper about it. I take my week, I like lick my wounds from getting kicked and punched in the face, and then I get back at it. But yeah, I mean, if it's a short, quick, easy, not to bash my opponent, not that it was if you have a fast win like that, it's kind of you typically not injured, so you can bounce back to camp pretty fast. And also, I didn't really need to cut a lot of weight my first couple fights. I got a lot bigger. I started lifting more and put some weight on so that I could be bigger at 125. But my first couple cuts, it was same day weigh-in, so I really didn't need to recover at all for my first 2 3 fights.
Sure. And I know going by, seeing some of your posts on Instagram, things like that, you focus a lot on, your strength and conditioning, your lifting. How has that changed your game from when you weren't really making those, big cuts and then you start putting that weight on, that muscle mass into, kind of what you're becoming now as a fighter? What has that changed for you?
I'm not doing necessarily powerlifting or anything because I had a lot of people will say if you put too much weight on, you lift too much, you're gonna be slow. Like you're not gonna be able to. You're a small weight class. Like the people in your weight class are generally not rock 'em, sock 'em, stand there and just bang. Like those girls are moving around a lot. You got to
Hmm.
be bouncy. And I was like, yeah. So what I do mostly is CrossFit. I'm level 1 certified in CrossFit actually, and I've done a bunch of CrossFit competitions. And it's more typically circuits. You do gymnastics movements, so you're doing muscle ups, pull ups, walking around on your hands, doing push ups on your in a handstand. It's a lot of like just different ways to move. And then there's wall balls, push ups, sit ups, body weight stuff, and then there is lifting with the barbell. It's literally just encompasses everything. And then I did start doing some like plyometric sports training, kind of like what football players do with the footwork and stuff and the band stuff. That helped really a lot just with my body awareness. That's the biggest thing I really got from lifting, mostly strength, but just body awareness. When I was younger and smaller, I felt like kind of like a baby deer in my body. Like didn't really know how to move, didn't really know how to, and then just filling out and getting stronger. Really just understanding my body more and just being able to use it.
Yeah,
If
and
that
that
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I think I spoke on here with my strength and conditioning coach, Colin, and we were talking about those movements that you're doing, how that helps recruit different muscles that are really important for fighting, for grappling, and you can really start to notice a difference when you're focusing on that strength and conditioning, not making it the focal point of your training, right? Because you always want to come back to training first,
Supplement.
strength conditioning second. But it does help. There's a lot that goes into that to make it, to make you a better fighter and to make you more well-rounded as a fighter. Um, and I think as you'll grow and you'll evolve, you'll probably change it two or three more times to adapt to what you like to do, and that's the fun of fighting. That's the fun of testing yourself and seeing what works and what doesn't. Uh,
Exactly.
Now, Alex, my co-founder, and I were talking about this since we have signed you on as an athlete. Uh, all of our correspondence with you have been, light, bubbly, airy. You send smiley faces and stuff in our messages back and forth. But then your, cage name is the Blonde Demon, which doesn't really go with the persona that I had gotten, in the correspondence with you. Where does that name come from, and why choose the Blonde Demon?
Yeah. I actually didn't make my name. My natural hair is blonde. I just dyed it black, so that's why it's blonde. And my mom called me that when I was a child. She would call me the blonde demon when I was a baby, because she likes to say, "Oh, it's just because you're really busy," but it was because I was bad.
Okay. Now I did want to ask, with you being, a pretty fun-loving person, outgoing, what have you, is there a switch that you need to flip to, change your kind of personality and change your mentality going into the cage?
Not at all. No, actually really mean. Yes, people, I'm like a killer. I'm just like a pit bull. Just went up, just like. No, when I'm ready to go in the fight, I don't really like the last girl. We were the weigh-ins and everything. We were sitting there facing off, talking. She's like, "I like your nickname," and I was like, "I like yours too." Like, it's just business. I don't have an issue with any of the girls I fight. It's not like I don't have to hate the person to go in there and do what I like to do. And it's not like, oh, she wants to hit me in the face. Like, how dare she? I'm just like, yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what we're here to do. There's no point to make it there's no point to be hateful. And I just like my life better, being happy and not letting things bother me. And yeah,
That's
so
good. Yeah,
that's
I mean, we kind of have the same outlook on fighting, to be honest. You know, I view fighting as a sport, and I think, my generation of fighter, your generation of fighter specifically, you being that next up and coming kind of, started at a young age. You were in judo as a kid, and you started boxing when you were 17. All of those things. You're what, 20 now?
yes.
Yeah, so you're 20 and you've already got, 7 fights in this game. A lot of fighters in your generation view fighting as a sport. It is not going out and getting in a street fight like generations previously who are just, I need to fight, I need to fight, I need to fight.
Right.
Do you notice that with, your training partners, things like that, where there's kind of a difference in mentality between people?
Definitely. Some of our fighters that we have who were pros like 5, 6 years ago, they're like, yeah, they're like, I didn't care if I got my head beat in. I would just go in there and put my chin down and swing, and that's kind of what we did. And it's like, no, man, like
Yeah, I think
that's how
those
you
days are long
retired
gone.
6 years ago, and you're only 32.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't even find jujitsu or kickboxing till I was 21. So it's also kind of fun to watch, people that are your age that are very well-rounded fighters by the time, they're 20, 21, 22. I think the sport is only going to keep growing and keep expanding.
Definitely.
So we're kind of in this quarantine now, can't do a whole lot with, fighting training, what have you. So things open back up, we get back to fighting. What's your goals looking forward, 2021, 2022, and, into the future?
I do have 7 fights, and I want to go pro at around 10ish. I just feel like I'm not ready after my last couple fights, even though I had good performances and everything. There was just small fight IQ mistakes that I felt I made, and just I want to see more. I want to fight another really good wrestler, because I did get to fight a really good wrestler in Jasmine Jasdavicius. She's actually, I think, on the UFC watch list now. She went 5-0 as a pro. Really great person, really great fighter. Kind of what happened was, my previous fights, I was kind of just used to, I had it in my head. I was like, okay, I've been grappling and doing stuff way longer than I've been boxing and striking. So I'm just going to do the striking as much as I need to grab a hold of someone and pretty much try to be a one-trick pony like Ronda Rousey. And it didn't work out real well. She was way, way better wrestling. And I felt like if I would have pulled back, kept my distance, and just kept it striking, because I noticed that there's a large skill gap striking wise. Like I was, all my kicks were landing. I was starting to hurt her lead leg. I'm left-handed. I don't think she'd ever fought in anyone left-handed before. So I was just kind of like stepping out to the side and letting that two go, and it was landing every single time. And her face was starting to get a little messed up, but I kept going in for the clinch, and I was getting taken down. And then it was just like scrambling to get back up the rest of them. I don't know necessarily if it would have changed the outcome, but I didn't fight the best that I could have fought that fight. And I did make a couple other little mistakes in my loss at the Cowboy card against Kawhi Wallace. Same, another really good opponent. A fight that I felt like I should have won had I not made a couple small mistakes in my grappling. So as soon as I feel like, yeah, I'm pretty confident with my just meshing everything together, knowing this is when I need to wrestle, this is when I need to strike, because you have all the pieces, but it's just learning how to like sew them together, if that makes sense.
It does, and that's one of the biggest things that I see when people level up. It's that they're not striking and then grappling, and they're not grappling and then striking. They're fighting a mixed martial arts fight. They're using one to set up the other, and vice versa. Um, and that's kind of, I think, what we all strive to accomplish and to get to.
Definitely.
Um, cool, Sydney. It was a pleasure talking to you today. Looking forward to coming out to some of your fights and then watching you make that pro debut. Before I let you go, just let everybody know how they can follow you and where they can see you on social media.
Okay, thanks. My handle, I think, for my Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff, is, even Snapchat, is all Sid Ross MMA, SYD, not with an I. um, that's all my social media, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And I follow back most of the time, unless you look weird.
Awesome, Sydney. It was a pleasure. Stay safe, and hopefully you can get some training partners back in that gym soon.
Thank you. You too.
Awesome. Thanks.